Crowfeather has a dream that he calls Feathertail and she doesn't pick up, but that's okay because he has a new wife and she is also pretty. "What time is it?" says Leafpool. Arc 2, New Prophecy, Book 5, Twilight, says Crowfeather. Oh wait, oh no. He impulsively decides to never love anybody again because this is all love's fault and not our twisted and restrictive society. 2 years later, the war between heaven and hell just ended. Hooray! But Crowfeather is unhappy. He's a little unhappy that his mom died and a little unhappy that he was overlooked for the deputy position. These are equal pains, really. But then his son shows up, specifically the one who he hates. "Breezepelt is so stinky and ugly," thinks Crowfeather, "and evil and rude. How in the world did I have such a terrible, worthless child?" Then everybody stands around and whines about how One Star didn't instantly kill Hairspring and Breezepelt for joining the Dark Forest. "I wish a meteor would come down from the sky and kill Breezepelt," says Gorsetail. Crowfeather thinks that this might be a bad thing to say out loud, but he also wishes a meteor would come down and kill Breezepelt. Crowfeather takes his apprentice hunting, but immediately runs into Nightcloud, his second wife. Crowfeather also hates Nightcloud, but not as much as he hates Breezepelt. He tries really hard not to act too divorced in front of the apprentices, but that's really hard to do while never talking to each other ever again and thinking constant nasty thoughts. Hoop Paw sees a ghost in the evil rot tunnel, so they all go home to tell One Star. "There's no such thing as ghosts, only StarClan," says One Star, only a few years before the Warrior Cats team canonizes the existence of ghosts and people who see ghosts. "Anyways, Crowfeather, I didn't pick you as deputy because you're a terrible father and you're angry all the time." Crowfeather cannot believe that One Star would hurt him like this. Crowfeather has a nightmare that he calls his mom and she doesn't pick up. Then everybody fights about ghosts a bunch more. They decide that Breezepelt should go talk to the evil ghost because he's got experience, and Breezepelt says, yeah, okay, sure. Crowfeather was going to spend the next 4 hours thinking about how much he hates his son, but he's made to go on the family bonding patrol as well. Breezepelt has an idea. Crowfeather tells him that's stupid and he's stupid. Nightcloud's had enough, so she tells Crowfeather to please stop bullying his own son. But what if he was born evil, though? Stop, oh my god. Everyone crawls around in the tunnels until they find one lined with corpses. This is kind of gross and horrifying, so everyone turns around to get out of the nasty hell tunnel when they're punched by a million stoats. Crowfeather is covered in stoats, so Heathertail makes him jump in lava. This is a surefire way to get rid of all of the stoats. But when everybody gets back to camp, Nightcloud is gone. Immediately, non-characters in WindClan start implying that maybe Breezepelt killed his mom, even though they were just attacked by an unstoppable stoat whirlwind. One Star, Breezepelt's real dad, tells them to shut up before Crowfeather can. "Should we tell ThunderClan?" asks Hairspring. "No, because they don't mention stoat geysers in Bramblestar's storm, and it would be a pain to work around that." Everyone but One Star seems to think that retcon plot holes would be fine, however. Then Heathertail smells Nightcloud and immediately zooms off. 3 seconds later, the stoats are pulling out her fur and making little Heathertail fur coats. Breezepelt runs in and saves her, and they look into each other's eyes dreamily for a minute while Crowfeather internally flips out. This isn't anything new because Crowfeather has been internally flipping out almost every time he sees his son up until this point. "Hear me out. What if there are actually ghosts?" says Larkwing. "Ghosts don't have bodies," responds Crowfeather, knowing a little bit more about uniquely human ghost superstition than he should considering he physically fought a bunch of dead people a few weeks ago. Then a stoat beam sends Breezepelt and Crowfeather into ThunderClan territory. Thankfully they're saved from stoats, unthankfully they're saved from stoats by Berrynose. Crowfeather asks if he can take a patrol to find Nightcloud, but One Star says that Nightcloud has plenty of vacation time saved up, so don't worry about it. "Okay, son," says Crowfeather, talking to Breezepelt normally for the first time in 24 years. "Your mom came out on the ThunderClan side, but the boss says we can't go." "I don't understand." "Politically speaking, we are not allowed to go look for your potentially dying mother." "You've bungled it all up," replies Breezepelt with ferocity and seriousness. Crowfeather wonders if this can all be unbungled before it's too late, but first he trains his and Nightcloud's apprentices by yelling at them until they cry. Then he has a nightmare that he calls Nightcloud, but his mom picks up. "Become a good person, or else," says Ashfoot. He wakes up and decides maybe he will save Nightcloud, but just so he gets closure and not so that he saves the life of somebody who was once close to him, because that would be a feminine emotion. Then he stiffly puts one paw on his sleeping son and says, "You are son." "Yeah, that's good enough," thinks Crowfeather. "This is what bungling looks like." He sniffs all the leaves on ThunderClan territory and finds Nightcloud's blood everywhere. "I really miss dead Nightcloud, a cat I respect," thinks Crowfeather for exactly 2 seconds before correcting, "is what I would say if I didn't hate Nightcloud." He sneaks out again the next day to find Breezepelt begging Heathertail to guide him through stoat hell, but stops him and says Nightcloud is ultra super dead so he doesn't need to do anything. I will murder every stoat on Earth, says Breezepelt. Let's not do anything hasty, responds Crowfeather. I will kill every single animal on planet Earth, says Breezepelt. Leaftail thinks that it's pretty suspicious that Breezepelt just happens to be upset about his mom dying at the same time as this whole killing stoats thing. Crowfeather tries to make Breezepelt go to his mom's funeral, but Breezepelt doesn't want to be called any more names. Nightcloud was really cool, says One Star. Nightcloud was really fast, says Gorsetail. Nightcloud was killed by Breezepelt, says Crouchfoot. Breezepelt should no longer be tolerated. Whoa there, says Crowfeather. If you disagree, you're also problematic. Whoa there, says One Star. If Breezepelt is such a good person, why didn't he come to this public forum where we yell about how much we hate Breezepelt, says Weaselfur. Crowfeather has a dream that he calls his mom and she calls him stupid. At the gathering, the WindClan cats try to call out Breezepelt again, but this time in front of a bunch of strangers who already hate him. That's it. I'm gonna go kill every stoat right now for real, shouts Breezepelt while Misty Star tries to give the RiverClan update. One Star allows Breezepelt to go on a stoat scouting mission, but he makes him take Weaselfur, who is basically a stoat himself. As long as you don't fight the stoats, says One Star. Okay, I will not fight the stoats, replies Breezepelt. Crowfeather has a nightmare that he calls Hollyleaf and Breezepelt picks up. Then Weaselfur and Heathertail drag beat up Breezepelt back to camp. Yeah, he fought the stoats. Sorry. Crowfeather sits with Breezepelt in the medicine den. Get well soon? Says Crowfeather. What? Responds Breezepelt. Crowfeather gets embarrassed by toxic masculinity and runs away as fast as physically possible. WindClan tries to fight the stoats, but the entire world is made of stoats. They snap Featherpaw in half like a twig before running back into their holes. Don't worry, one band-aid'll fix this, says Breezepelt. How exactly would you know that? Don't you remember when I was broken in half as a child, Father? No, I wasn't paying any attention to you. Oh, yeah. Then Featherpaw's dad tries to break Crowfeather in half. Crowfeather stands up in front of everyone and tries to motivate them to punch more stoats, but it just devolves into being mean to Breezepelt in public again. Shut up, Leaftail, says Heathertail. Shut up, Heathertail also, says Breezepelt. Heathertail evaporates. Crowfeather has a nightmare where he calls his mother, but Feathertail picks up. Oh, Feathertail, I love you, says Crowfeather. Okay. I don't understand. You're the worst. I don't understand. Abstract guilt from this dream makes Crowfeather go talk to Leafpool, but they give him Jayfeather instead. Wow, it's so nice having a son who's got all the same personality problems as me, thinks Crowfeather, not like that other one at home that has all the same personality problems as me. Hey, son. Don't call me that. Hey, son, I'm going behind my leader's back to talk about the danger presented by the massive horde of evil weasels. Okay. After getting yelled at by One Star, Crowfeather thinks about how Breezepelt should have babies to prove his loyalty to WindClan, because it worked out so well for him. Hey, Breezepelt, girls, says Crowfeather. Breezepelt smiles just a little. Ramblestar comes over to One Star's house to help, but then they yell a bunch and throw game controllers at each other. As punishment for disobeying One Star, Crowfeather is made to babysit Kestrelflight. Kestrelflight tells him that he's going to talk to definitely dead Nightcloud and ask if her son kills people at the Half Moon. But he pops right back out and says, okay, no, she wasn't dead. We just kind of assumed that, I guess. One Star does not care about that. All One Star cares about is filling in all the holes with rocks and sticks so that the stoats go to ThunderClan. Can't these animals dig holes? Asks Crowfeather. One Star kicks him out and tells him to feed himself for a week. He considers going over to ThunderClan to try and seduce Leafpool, but he realizes that he doesn't care that much about Leafpool and also WindClan and also his son. Heathertail and Breezepelt sneak out and try to lure him back to WindClan with a free cable subscription, but Crowfeather isn't falling for it. Look, we know that One Star wanting to antagonize ThunderClan for fun is bad, but we gotta listen to our leader, says Heathertail, especially when they have us commit crimes. I wouldn't listen to him even if he was making correct choices, says Crowfeather. Then he has a nightmare that he calls his mom but accidentally goes to hell. He wakes up to find some buff guy named Yu tending his wounds. Yu lists off all the cutest girls he's seen in the past several months until Crowfeather notices that one of them is Nightcloud. Yu says that he sent her to the vet, horrifying Crowfeather, so he goes back to WindClan to collect the Breezepelt that he rejected earlier. Hootpaw wants to come too, but Crowfeather threatens to beat up a child if he does. Wouldn't be the first time, says Breezepelt. This fails regardless, and Hooppaw comes back with Gorsetail, who also wants to play Find Nightcloud. Even though they were told that Nightcloud went to the Two-Leg place, they follow a bunch of fox scent around in circles until, oh no, foxes! Who could have predicted this? They get away from foxes, they get away from baby puppies. Crowfeather yells at two kitty pets for no reason. You said my friend came by here. Me? No, the guy named you. I didn't say anything to you. Oh, so you don't know him then? Your friend? They change the subject to if or not she is seen as super skinny black cat who's been bitten by 400 foxes, and they go, yes, we know her, and immediately start gossiping about how weird she is. Nightcloud is located on vacation with a big fluffy Persian. Much to Crowfeather's distress, the big fluffy Persian his ex-wife is staying with is a man. What? Asks Pickle. Everyone ignores him while trying to pry Nightcloud from her lawn chair. He asks if Nightcloud will stay. She asks if he will come along. They share a long, romantic gaze into each other's eyes while Crowfeather internally screams for 8 minutes. They all tumble back to WindClan to find that it's been attacked by the stoat wave in their absence, so WindClan screams at each other a whole bunch. Crowfeather, you are a terrible person, and I hate having you around, says One Star. But you brought Nightcloud back, and she's my favorite, so you can be unkicked out. Okay, can we ask Bramblestar for help now? There's like 60 characters in ThunderClan. No? Please? Alright. They ask Bramblestar for help again, and he makes fun of them for a few minutes for turning him down earlier before letting them borrow Leafpool. Unfortunately, this puts Leafpool and Crowfeather in the same room together. Planning on getting back with your wife? Asks Leafpool. Which one? Responds Crowfeather. They stand in awkward silence until a stoat attacks them to break the tension. Crowfeather immediately starts dying from blood loss. In the medicine den, Leafpool learns how annoying Crowfeather really is. Maybe you should stop being a jerk. Crowfeather thinks about this for a minute and then invites Nightcloud into the medicine den. I've decided to stop being a jerk, says Crowfeather. It was my idea. Nightcloud explains that she kind of wanted to stay with Pickle because he wasn't terrible. Crowfeather stews in rage about Nightcloud making eye contact with another man before asking if she wants to get remarried. No, I really don't. Luckily, Leafpool has already gotten out of there and cannot be asked next. Crowfeather has a nightmare that he calls his mom and she picks up. Hi, Crowfeather. Please stop thinking about your dozens of ex-wives now and focus on the child you neglected until he started trying to kill people. Okay, Mommy. At the gathering, everyone foreshadows Bramblestar's Storm, a book that came out 4 years earlier. Then Lionblaze stands up and declares that he doesn't like Breezepelt very much, but Bramblestar tells him to shut up. After this, Crowfeather seeks out Breezepelt to tell him that he thinks that he's pretty okay, actually. All that stuff about me attacking WindClan camp that they wrote in Chapter 25 of The Last Hope is a lie, Dad, says Breezepelt. It didn't happen anymore. Yeah, I believe you, son. Then Crowfeather awkwardly and slowly pats him on the head again. Yeah, this is fathership, thinks Crowfeather. Fathering? Fatherhood? That's probably the word. Probably. ThunderClan shows up the next day to beat up all the stoats. Lionblaze has this idea where they all get together and dig new tunnels without stoats in. Breezepelt has an idea where he sacrifices himself to the stoats and everyone thinks he's really cool forever after he dies and they feel bad for being mean to him. I'll go too, says Crowfeather. Everyone thinks that this is actually a pretty good idea because nothing makes you angrier faster than a conversation with Crowfeather. They go into the hole and start banging pots and pans together and misremembering the lyrics to songs until the stoats just can't take it anymore and form one single massive stoat to kill them. Then everybody jumps out of the tall grass to beat it up. Breezepelt saves Lionblaze from a stoat beam, and both of them try really hard not to have to apologize to each other while still feeling bad about their mutual hatred. This is too cringe, so Breezepelt passes out. Nightcloud and Crowfeather both want to stay with unconscious Breezepelt in the medicine den, but Heathertail swoops in instead. Goodbye, parents, I am wife now. The next day, Crowfeather sees Lionblaze on patrol and flags him down to apologize for being an absent father. Thanks, I guess, says Lionblaze. Breezepelt is dying of infection by the time he gets back, so Nightcloud tells him to go beg Leafpool for plants. Yes ma'am, whatever you want, responds Crowfeather. Unfortunately, he immediately gets caught by Berrynose again. Leafpool isn't home, so he asks Jayfeather for medicine instead. I don't have any for Breezepelt, says Jayfeather. I hate Breezepelt and I hope he dies. Wow, Jayfeather just looks and acts a lot like my son Breezepelt. I wonder why that is, thinks Crowfeather for the second time this book. He also tries to apologize for being an absent father, but Jayfeather pretends he isn't there until he leaves. He's trudging to ShadowClan in the rain when Jayfeather teleports behind him and gives him one burdock root. Now you can't sue me, adds Jayfeather. So they cover Breezepelt in mashed potatoes until his infection evaporates. Did you know that Heathertail likes me? Says Breezepelt. Even though I'm Breezepelt? At least you're not Crowfeather, says Crowfeather. Well, yeah, obviously. At the gathering, all the leaders stand up on the tree branch and thank the Dark Forest trainees for being especially good at killing stoats. Who cares? Says Rowan Claw. Hey, Rowanclaw, remember what I did to the last bright red ShadowClan deputy? Asked Lionblaze. This makes everybody want to go home. Crowfeather goes to sleep that night and he dreams that he calls his grandchildren. This is what passes for unbungling in warrior cats.